Hi everyone. So great to be back here with you. I am here to pretty much give you an update. So I've been in Pune for exactly 2 weeks now, 2 full weeks since I've arrived. So I just wanted to check in, tell you a little bit about what's been going on, some things that have kind of happened along the way. And just share with you my experience and kind of what I've seen and what's been going on. So yeah. I left Phoenix, Arizona on Friday, April, I believe it was 19th when I left Phoenix. It was a very long journey to get here. Wow. So I left Phoenix at about noon on Friday afternoon. And my first stop was in New York. So I had a 5-hour flight to JFK, New York. I arrived there somewhere around 8:30 p.m. Then I boarded a plane from JFK between 10 and 10:30, I think it was that night. And from there I flew to the UAE, to Abu Dhabi. That was about a 12.5-hour flight. It was okay. It was pretty comfortable, you know. It was a huge plane. Like, it was like a double-decker plane. There were people upstairs and then us downstairs. I'm assuming upstairs was like probably first class. They probably had beds and stuff, which would have been nice. But I actually did sleep most of the flight. I got some really good rest on that flight. They fed us 2 meals. I believe it was, I think it was Arabic food. It was biryani, so B-I-R-Y-A-N-I. I'm actually not sure where the dish originates from, but that was my first experience with biryani. It was very good, vegetarian for me. Although they did have, I think chicken was the other option. So the food was good. I was sitting by a really nice couple that was also from India, from Mumbai. But we didn't talk much. We were sleeping a lot. So yeah, the 12.5, 13-hour flight to the UAE. And then what was really crazy is, you know, I left JFK at 10 p.m., 10:30. When I arrived in Abu Dhabi, it was 7:30 p.m. the next day. So that was weird. It's like I literally missed like a whole day somewhere. So then I got to the UAE in Abu Dhabi about, like I said, like 7:30. And then I boarded a flight from there. I was actually delayed. It was supposed to leave at like 10:30 that night to Pune, but it got delayed, so I didn't actually leave there till like 11:30, almost midnight. And then I arrived in Pune at about 4 a.m. on Sunday morning. So it was literally just straight through all the way here, and I gained a whole day somewhere along the way. So I got here at 4 a.m. The flights were actually quite smooth. Like the whole trip was smooth. The biggest issue was whenever I landed in Pune, you have to go through their immigration as soon as you get off the plane. And it was a long line because there was a lot of people on that flight. So we stood in line for quite some time. But regardless, you know, standing in line, if that's the worst of it, I'm good with that. So by the time I made it down to the baggage claim, my bags were there. I walked out and there was a person there holding a sign with my name on it, which was really cool to have that experience. I've seen that like in the movies, and even when I've gotten off flights before, you know, the driver's like standing there holding people's placards with their names so they know where to go. So that was kind of cool to have that experience. I had a car waiting for me. As soon as I got in the car, they handed me an envelope that had an Indian cell phone, a snack, a bottle of water, and a charger to use for the cell phone and for my own personal cell phone, because the wall outlets here are different from in the US. So that was really awesome. They immediately called the representative from the company I'm working for to let him know that they had picked me up, that I was here safely. He got on the phone with me, checked in, and they brought me straight to my hotel, and I got checked in. So I've been staying at a hotel here in Pune for the last 2 weeks. It's a great place, quite comfortable, you know, just a typical hotel room. And every morning there's a free breakfast, and the breakfast is actually really good. There's quite a few Indian dishes every morning that's included, and they change it up every day. It's a different Indian dish. And the food, I have to say, is really good. It is quite spicy, but I'm good with that, you know, being from the South and having sweet Creole blood running through my veins. I grew up eating quite spicy food, and I really enjoy it. So, but it is a different kind of spicy. Of course, there's Indian spices here that are quite different than what we use in the US as far as Creole seasonings, you know. So, and I don't think I've had like the full-on spicy food yet. I might work my way up to that. But I do think it has kind of been an adjustment, I'd say, for my diet. That's been one of the bigger challenges for me. As many of you know, I had transitioned for the most part to vegan back in the States, although I did have seafood from time to time. Since I've been here, although Pune is actually, from my understanding, the biggest city in India as far as vegan options go. Maybe, I don't know if I said that correctly, but they're the city that mostly supports veganism throughout India. So far, they have the most options for vegan, and I've found many of them over the last 2 weeks, but that has been one of the bigger challenges, is just my adjusting to my diet. And unfortunately, I did have a pretty big health scare my 3rd day here. So I have an allergy to white processed sugar. The closest way I can describe it is somewhat of a diabetic type of reaction. My body just cannot process it. And it's something that, you know, I learned a few years back when I had a really serious episode. And basically, I've just completely stayed away from it since then. And I've taken herbal supplements to help my body kind of work through the problem that I've had with it. And I saw my doctor just before coming here. I see a naturopath doctor in Phoenix, Arizona. Shout out Dr. Wayne Cohan. He's amazing. Nutrition response testing. If you don't know what it is, check it out. He changed my life. But anyway, so I can no longer have white processed sugar. And the 3rd day at work, my lunch, unfortunately, had sugar, and I did not know it. They've been providing me lunches every day at work. I've been meeting different team members every day. That's one of the things that we do, is we have lunch with different departments. Well, I've had lunch with different departments, and they ordered something that day, and it was a vegetable wrap. Right? Seems harmless enough. They know of my diet restrictions, and they had been really keeping that in consideration. And they've, from my understanding, they've been relaying that information when ordering food, but somehow this was missed. The food didn't taste sweet to me. I did not even think it had sugar. Like, at no point did I think, oh, this tastes weird or it tastes sweet. It was just a vegetable wrap, but it did have a sauce in it. And I think the sauce, well, it had to have had the sugar in it. So I had a serious episode at work. And so what kind of happens to me is, when I have too much of it, I kind of go into this, the best way I can describe it is I feel trapped in my own body. my body completely freaks out. I get like this tunnel vision, and that's how I know that it's starting to happen. And mentally, I'm fine. In my mind, I know what's going on. I'm completely coherent, but I can't speak. I can't move. My body just freezes. And it happened. And it was about 2 a.m. U.S. time, well, Phoenix time. And the last thing I was kind of able to do movement-wise was dial Kenyatta's number, or yeah, because she is, so that's my partner, and we've been together for several years, and she knows of my issue, and she was there when I first had it, and has kind of helped me, or been there with me since I've had the issue. So she knows what to do in those situations. And so they were trying to call her, you know, but it was really early in the morning, and everyone was kind of freaking out, didn't know what to do with me, and I was just frozen, couldn't move, couldn't speak, and I was so frustrated because I wanted to, so I was crying, like tears were streaming down my face because I wanted to communicate, and I wanted to be able to pick up the glass of water and drink it, because in those situations, just drinking a lot of water and flushing it out of my system is really the only way to get through it. And I didn't have the supplement to help my body get through it either. So I ended up in the hospital that day. Third day here we go, emergency room. But I have to say, the hospitals here, well, the one I went to, I was quite impressed. I wasn't completely freaked out. A little bit, but not completely. It was quite clean. The people there were very friendly, although they really didn't know what to do with me. I was able to communicate enough at that point because I had a good bit of water. Someone finally figured out that I needed help drinking, and so they were helping me drink water, so it was starting to help. And so at that point, I was able to communicate enough to let them know that I just needed an IV with fluids to flush my body. And so they got that to me, 1 bag of fluids. I was able to move. I was able to communicate. I could walk by myself, because to that point they had been wheeling me around in a wheelchair, you know, and that was quite embarrassing, which I know is ridiculous, but you know, my third day at a new job in a new place, and they wheel me out of work in a wheelchair. So crazy experience. But now everyone really, I guess, knows the severity of the situation, and everyone is being overly careful now, which I have to say, the company I'm working for, the people that are there, they are so incredible, so amazing. They are friendly and helpful and professional and caring, and you know, they had just met me, but I couldn't tell. They took such great care of me. They never left me alone. They made sure I was perfectly okay before getting me back to my hotel and leaving me here alone. And I have to say, I'm so incredibly grateful to be with a company that it just takes care of their people in that way. I am so appreciative for everything they did for me. So that's probably been the scariest thing that's happened so far, and I think more scary for them than it was for me. I've been through it, so I knew what was going on. I was just more frustrated. I was frustrated with myself. You know, I should have known type of thing, or I should have been more careful because I know I have this issue. Kind of beating myself up over it, but regardless, got through it, and all is well. Pause. Sorry about that. I had to take a pause for the cause. My food was here. All right, so moving on. So let's see. The things that I've come to like most so far about Pune, the people here are incredible. They are very nice, and I love just that even though I'm different, I'm obviously different. They don't make me feel strange. They're very welcoming. They're very polite and nice. Some things that I find interesting are if I wear a tank top, you know, I have tattoos. I have quite a few tattoos. So when I wear a tank top, many are visible. And there have been times where I've just been walking down the sidewalk and someone would pull up next to me on their scooter and stop just to say, "Hey ma'am, I really like your tattoos," you know? So they go out of their way to stop and mention my tattoos and comment on them. So I find that rather interesting. They're so incredibly helpful. Anytime, especially like here at the hotel, the service is great. If I need anything, like they're all over it. Whenever I had the episode with the sugar, the next day the hotel manager called me up that morning to check on me because I didn't come down for breakfast. I had slept in. And he's like, "I want to send you some breakfast. Let me know what you want." And they sent me food free of charge. Sometimes they still ask me, you know, "Ma'am, how are you doing? Are you feeling well? Are you doing okay?" They're just so polite, so helpful. Everyone at the office is incredible with helping me get adjusted and learn everything that I need to. So whenever I go into stores or whenever I stop at like a fruit stand or a vegetable stand to get something, even if they can't completely understand me, they do their best to do so, and you know, they're just really polite. I've walked around at night by myself. I never feel threatened, or I don't even know if there's really crime. Well, I'm sure there's crime here. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're in a city with, you know, millions of people. There's crime, but I don't feel threatened, or I don't feel unsafe. I don't feel like I have to like keep watching over my shoulder. And you know, I lived in New Orleans for quite some time and worked on Bourbon Street, so I kind of have that spidey sense about me too when it comes to people. So there have been a few times people have approached me and tried to interact with me, and I could tell immediately almost that there was an ulterior motive. And so I just politely said, "No, thank you. No, thank you," and just kept walking, even though they were continuously trying to talk to me. So I think I do kind of have that as an advantage. So I'm grateful that I lived in New Orleans for some time. So the people are great. The food is really great. I've enjoyed that. Some kind of interesting, strange things. Most bathrooms here do not have toilet paper. A few more modern type of restaurants do, and the hotel does. But some restaurants do not. Most places, from my understanding, do not have toilet paper. So they have like these spray washers that are connected like next to the toilet. I'm assuming they work something like, what are those things called? I can't remember what they're called, that like squirt the water. They're like French, I think. I think they work something like that. Duvet or something like that. I don't remember. So I'm assuming that's how it works, but I'm just confused, and I have not attempted to use those yet. I'm going to do some more research on that before I attempt it. Because in my mind, I'm just thinking, well, if I spray myself down with water, I'm going to be wet. What am I going to dry myself with? I don't know. So the lesson learned there is that my bag that I carry around, my purse, because I don't carry a purse, I make sure I always have tissues in it to take with me, because I never know when I might have to go and the bathroom will not have tissue. So that's one thing I found interesting. Another interesting thing here is the traffic and the way people drive. So one thing to know to kind of understand this is that Pune has really grown population-wise, from my understanding, very rapidly over the last few years, maybe 7 to 10 years from what I've gathered. And unfortunately, the infrastructure of the city has not grown in a way to support the number of people here. So I'm going to post some pictures and videos of just my daily kind of travels so that you can see what I'm talking about here. But traffic is nuts. One, they drive on the left side of the road, like a lot of, you know, European countries and other countries outside of the US. So first of all, that just kind of it made my brain hurt for a while. And the first time I got into a car, the gentleman opening the door for me was opening, in my mind, the driver's side door. And I was like, no, I'm not driving. He's like, no, this is the passenger seat. And I get in the car and I'm like, oh yes, you drive on the left side of the road. The steering wheel in the car is on the right side instead of the left side, like in the US. So that was kind of strange. And then so when you're driving on the left side of the road, whenever you make right turns, you're making it from out here as opposed to here. Yeah, so just things like that are kind of making my brain feel a little weird. I'm finally getting used to that. The more and more I ride around, I'm not driving as of yet. Although I feel like I will have a motorbike or a scooter soon, which is going to be a whole new adventure and a whole nother video. So traffic is nuts. I work from the hotel. My drive, if there was no traffic at all, it'd take 5 to 7 minutes. However, in rush hour, it can take between a half hour and an hour. And it's just because there's literally one way there and one way back. And in rush hour traffic, everybody's just there waiting, sitting, trying to get to the next space. There are very few traffic signals. So it's usually just a free-for-all. You just kind of go with the people that you're with. The biggest vehicle has the right of way. So some streets have lines, but the lines are irrelevant. Even the middle line, because people will travel over into oncoming traffic and go around. Yeah. There's lots of rickshaws and motorbikes and scooters. Actually, on the way back from doing my laundry a few minutes ago, I saw what I'm assuming was a husband and wife, so 2 adults and 2 small children, all on a motorbike. And the biggest motorbike here, I think, is like a 150cc. They don't make them bigger here. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's a regulation or something that prevents them from making, like, you know, Kawasaki, even 500 or 600. They're like 150 and below. I think 150 and 110 are like the normal CCs here for a motorbike or a motorcycle. But I literally saw, like I said, 2 small kids, 2 adults on 1 motorcycle, and they freaking do it. Like, it's crazy. Women, you know, drive motorbikes, kids on scooters, motorcycles. When I say kids, you know, obviously big enough to hold it up, but still, wow. Like in this traffic, no less. Oh, and in rush hour traffic, if it's not moving, the motorcycles and scooters will just go down the sidewalk. They just drive down the sidewalk. Pedestrians do not have a right-of-way. You have to watch where you're going even when you're walking down the sidewalk, because you'll get your ass run over because you do not have the right-of-way as a pedestrian. Again, the biggest vehicle has the right-of-way. So that has been a whole new experience, and I'm eventually going to, even though the place where I'm moving to, so I did find an apartment. Here they're called flats. I did find one, and even though it's only like 2.5 miles away from my job, I'm gonna end up getting a motorbike or a scooter, because if I try to go in rush hour traffic in a car, it's gonna take me an hour probably there and back. And if I do a motorbike or a scooter, I can get there much quicker, more like a half hour. Because you can just go around people, and they run red lights. There are police here, but you don't get a ticket I think the only thing they really give tickets for, or if they see people driving while they're on the phone, or driving without a seatbelt. From my understanding, that's really the only time that a police officer will like give you a ticket. And I don't really see like police patrol cars where they would like come up behind you and pull you over. I see them mostly in the streets during rush hour time, because they will come out and conduct traffic and try to put some type of order to the madness. Because like I said, most intersections don't have signals. There are a few, but even with the signals, some people just run the lights. But strangely enough, with all that chaos, and I'm gonna beat on the wood here, I have yet to see a major accident. It seems like minor little fender benders or bumps and whatever here and there do occur, but not any like all out crazy car accidents like I've witnessed in the US. Mind-blowing, right? I don't know. It's really interesting. So yeah. And so I'll start to wrap it up here. Those are just some of the interesting things I wanted to share. As far as the biggest challenge for me so far, I do miss my friends and family back home incredibly, especially my partner. You know, I'm just used to having her. We did so much together, usually on a daily basis, you know. And I had pets that I rehomed before leaving. My 2 cats are with my partner, and I rehomed my Dachshund that I had. And I had a pit bull too. She was 15, and I actually let her go before leaving. She was starting to have kidney failure, so before she went into a place of too much pain and agony, I made the decision to let her go. But I think the biggest challenge so far, and I didn't even realize this until just a day, I think it was day before yesterday. So I was walking back from having dinner Friday night, and strangely enough, there are dogs everywhere, and they just walk up and down the sidewalks, they walk up and down the streets, you see them cross the road in this crazy traffic. They just kind of live everywhere, not in fences, not on chains, there's a few people that walk their pets on leashes, but you just walk around and there's dogs just everywhere, just hanging out. So I was walking back from dinner, and as I was passing these fruit stands, there were these 3 little dogs laying out on the sidewalk, and as I was walking past one, she just was looking at me, and she was really cute. And I just spoke to her. I was like, "Hey there, little girl, how's it going?" And so she hopped up and came over to me and let me pet her. And so I was petting on her. And then one of her little friends came up, and so I was petting both of them. And then so I started walking away. And as I started walking away, the first one that first came up to me, she came trotting behind me and like nibbled at my fingers. Like she wanted me to love on her some more. And so I loved on her a little bit more. And then I started walking away again, and then I heard I think it was the owner of the fruit stand call her, and she went back. And that was the first time I'd had any type of contact and exchange of energy on that level since I've been here. I mean, yes, I've been with amazing people and I've met great people, but as far as physical contact and energy exchange, compassion, I haven't. That was the first time I'd felt it since I've been here, and I didn't even realize I didn't even realize how much I missed it. You know, I miss my kitty cats loving on me every day when I come home. That love, that unconditional love that they gave me every single day. And even though I talk to my partner every day and we video chat every day, just not having that physical contact, someone expressing their love to me, I really miss that. Just having a hug or petting my cat. That's what I miss the most. I knew it would be difficult, you know, the separation and being away from friends and family that I was really close to and I had that interaction with all the time. But actually experiencing that and feeling that, it was very eye-opening. But I know it's an adjustment. It's a change. I know that I'll make friends here who I'm eventually comfortable enough with that I can hug, you know, and have some type of physical attention with. And I do intend on either adopting or fostering a pet while I'm here, and then I'll get to have that again. Until then, it'll just be something that I have to continue to cope with. But regardless, I am still incredibly happy to be here. I feel so blessed to have this opportunity, this new experience, this new life. It's a once in a lifetime thing, and I am so incredibly grateful. I'm so grateful for this. I know that I'm gonna learn so much, which I already have in just 2 weeks, and I know I'm gonna grow to new levels spiritually, physically, mentally, professionally, in ways that I could have never experienced had I not come here. So I'm gonna continue to be strong and fight through it, and I hope that you all will continue to be here with me along the way.